Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement. Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Get weekly football winners from Alex White, Chris Andrews, and Vinny Malulo.
I did take the dog 3.5.
I'm going to stay with the culture. That's definitely going to be one of my plays.
If the Bears have turned the corner, they have to take care of business in this game.
Yes.
Tune in for behind-the-book perspectives you won't find anywhere else.
Well, if you're looking to bet the under, you're going to get a better number.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Is there a way to bet against both teams?
Get your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Looking to bet smarter? Get sports betting insight and winning picks straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
I think we're going to get goals from both sides here. Give me over 5.5.
That is also one of my favorite plays of the weekend is the Colts -3 on the road.
So you're getting plus 130 here.
I mean, how can you go against Tusky?
Exactly.
Join Sports by the Book at 10 a.m. Pacific and bet your winning edge.
My question to you is, do you like to play golf?
It's a setup question. Been here long enough to know that. My wife is an elite golfer. I like football more than golf.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome in. That is Auburn Tigers' new head coach, Alex Golash, with a grade A perfect answer.
They tried to set him up.
To that question. I love it so much. This is Sports by the Book. I'm Alex White. I, too, like football more than golf. I thought he answered it perfect, right? This is Matt Neverett, voice of the Las Vegas Aviators and the UNLV Rebels. Ryan McCormick behind the curtain. He'll be joining us as well, as always, producer/host. Well, Matt, with a lot of attention, around the coaching changes, I like that video a lot from Alex Golash. I thought it was great.
I mean, this is the best time of year for sound bites in the world of college football. No doubt about it. We had the Lane Kiffin saga. We've got all these top group of 5 coaches being poached by some Power 5 schools. And, I'm someone who likes golf, likes football. I make my living more in football than in golf somehow. Unfortunately, with the amount of time I spend on the course, I'm a better broadcaster than I am golfer, and that's saying something.
Well, the end of that clip, too, he did say, and I am horrible at
yeah,
it,
that helps.
He does like to golf as well. But, a lot going on tonight. There will be a college football playoff show, which will kind of give us an idea of where we're going moving forward for conference title games coming up this week. It's a very important show. A lot could happen in that. So we'll find out where they're at. And the big story is Notre Dame, Miami, whether those two are getting in both or neither. We're going to talk about a couple of the conference games. One, actually, Big 12 today. We're going to talk about Texas Tech and BYU. Towards the end of the show, we've got a lot to get to because we want to break down Week 14 lines in the NFL. We'll talk about where they open, where they are. We're also going to dive into 3 big matchups coming up this week. We'll get into some hockey and some games on the hardwood. Ryan, let's start off, as we always do, with a little recap from last night. A dominant performance. I forgot to mention that as well, because 2 guys that are very happy on this show. We've got one to the left of me, his team, the Patriots, top of the AFC.
Darn tootin'.
And then Ryan McCormick, as we talked about yesterday, the Bears, the top of the NFC. So a dominant win yesterday for the Patriots. Again, 10 in a row.
Yeah, just to put a bow on Week 13, the Patriots did end up covering all numbers. I did have the Giants, so luckily our NHL dogs got us to get the unit back yesterday. But total snuck over that 46.5, and the Patriots did cover that 14.5. So on this reverse teaser card of 16 games, 10 of which had a winning leg.
Oh, so, man.
Not sure if Chris had to pay out that $2,000 for one, but it would have been a good week to play it.
He was feeling pretty good yesterday. So
yeah.
He didn't think he had any, so we'll have to find out from him on our weekly lunch.
That's a bad result for the books, no doubt about it. And that's a game scheduled preseason that probably was expected to be a little bit closer and a little bit more hotly contested than what we saw last night. I mean, make no bones about it. This was a throttling from start to finish. The Patriots stepped off the gas in the second half because they were able to get some backups in, really run the ball and milk the clock in the second half. But it was, 21-0 in the first quarter, 27-0 in the first quarter. I mean, it was absolute domination, and the Giants just got outplayed in all 3 phases. And I mean, they got some work to do. They got to start internally looking at head coach Jackson Dart trying to protect himself a little bit more. A couple of big hits that he took last night. And of course, that was the big storyline coming into that one. And I do give him credit. On that big hit that he took out of bounds. They asked him about it, and he goes, "This isn't soccer. This is football." And I'm like, that's the most American answer you could have given. But that comes from a guy who's out of Ole Miss. So that explains everything that you need to know. I love watching Jackson Dart. I hate watching him take those big hits that he really presents himself to.
Well, a lot of those football fans that think that football's gotten too soft. They love to hear that from Jackson Dart for sure. But on the Patriots side, 10th straight win, as I mentioned, first time since 2015. They look pretty good. We'll dive into that a little bit more tomorrow. We will go over my updated top 10 in the NFL, and we'll look at Chris Andrews' offensive and defensive efficiencies, top 10 of both of those in the National Football League. Also, on tomorrow's show, I'll just say this now in case I forget later, but Chris Felica will be joining us, the Bear from Fox Sports. Looking forward to that. So if you want some insight and us to dive into those title games, he is the perfect person. You don't want to miss tomorrow's show. But
Jeremy Allen White wishes he was Chris Felica. That's the real Bear.
It is. Right, let's keep it going with some updates on the ice. As you mentioned, we both got there with our dogs, and then I curse the Devils again at home. Every time I take them at home, they seem to lose those games. But that's because underdogs did very good on the ice. How'd they do in hockey, NBA, and college basketball?
Yeah, not just on the ice, but on the hardwood as well. So other than the Patriots getting the job done as the favorite last night on the gridiron, NHL favorites were 0-4-1 straight up. The one tie was a pick'em between the Sabres, who ultimately ended up winning that one, covering the puck line there. All 5 NHL games had the puck line covered, 4 of which were reverse. Totals did go 2-1-2. And then moving to the hardwood, college basketball first, favorites were 6-5 straight up, just 3-8 against the spread, and totals were 5-6, so 6 unders, 5 overs. And then in the NBA, favorites 4-5 straight up, 2-7 against the spread, and the totals 7-2 to the over. So if you played the overs in the NBA, you were good. But everywhere else, it seemed like the dogs were pretty good.
Man, in every sport except for the NFL, the dogs were good yesterday. And and talking about college basketball and the way that the lines are set this time of year, that the data is not necessarily there for all these teams. So for those like you and your dad and your family that sets their own lines, you kind of almost have an advantage at this time of year because of the methodology, I'll say, that the sports books are using nowadays to set lines, even at an old school joint like here at South Point. There just isn't the data available that you will have in March that lends to, a lot more tighter lines, a lot more sharp movement. This time of year, it's kind of a free-for-all, and you can really take advantage of some big dogs, especially, I think, in road games in the non-con portion of the schedule.
Definitely. Could be the most profitable time of the year. That's kind of why I'm sad when you get to the end of football like this, right? With the conference championship games coming up, those lines are so tight, and everybody has the entire year to go off of, and you don't have much differences from your numbers to the book's numbers for sure. But kind of with that, with the dogs, we do have a poll question up, so please jump in and give us your thoughts. 3 road dogs, right, Ryan? And they all have something in common.
Yeah, 3 road dogs, all of which coming off of an overtime loss, talking in the NHL here. So the question was, or a poll question, regulation, redemption. Which plus money road team coming off an overtime loss are you taking? All prices via the South Point here in Las Vegas. Wild getting plus 125 in Edmonton against the Oilers. The Canucks getting plus 255 in Denver, taking on the Avalanche, and the Flames in Nashville getting even money taking on the Predators.
Please jump in now when I already answered what I think is the best one of the 3, and we'll get to some more hockey bets. I've got a couple totals I like today. We've got a couple college basketball, but before all of that, football is king. So let's dive into week 14 of the NFL, where these lines are. If we see any value as of right now on this Tuesday, and then after we go through the schedule, let's dive into 3 of the big games, including the Thursday night game. We will talk about this one in depth, but just to give everybody a heads up, pretty much the only 3.5 out there. Everybody has moved down to 3 now. They're taking the hook with the Cowboys. The Detroit Lions coming off a tough, hard-fought loss to the Packers on Thanksgiving, and the Cowboys coming off a big win. So the Lions are 3.5 here at the South Point. The total is 54. Looks like it's pretty much 54 everywhere. It did open 53.5, getting bumped up because we know that both of these teams are very good on the offensive side.
And are people starting to believe in the Cowboys?
I think
Is
so.
that kind of what we're seeing here? I mean, a couple of interesting Thanksgiving Day games, and I don't know necessarily what kind of stock you can take from either of them, because, what are the Cowboys right now? They're a decent defensive team. If Dak Prescott has an outstanding game, they usually win, but how often are you going to get that from him? And for the Lions, they've got the motivation factor. They've got Jared Goff playing indoors, especially in this one. But their defense has let them down time and time again. I mean, if they could get that thing figured out defensively, they could really go for a run, because they've got some real team-friendly deals and some real matchup nightmares for teams, especially in their own division.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, of course, did leave that game on Thanksgiving. That is a huge hit for them offensively, so that does make me a little bit worried. But the look-ahead line before Thanksgiving games, it was 5.5 here. So is this an overreaction? We'll dive into that a little bit more when we do a deep dive for this game on Thursday.
Absolutely. And the next one, the one that gets the game started on Sunday, is the one that's off the board, the only one that's off the board right now. So we'll see how this one goes later in the week, but it's the Commanders at the Vikings. What did we see that the other day? That was an abomination, a quarterback from Max Brosmer, and 4 picks, no touchdowns. I saw there was no QB Gami. There was a quarterback that had thrown for his exact line. It was like 150 yards, no touchdowns, and 4 picks, all the way back in 1950.
Wow.
Somehow. And that guy left to go serve in the Korean War the year later. I'm not even kidding, not making this up. Bobby Thompson, not the New York Giants baseball player Bobby Thompson, but the quarterback. You got to wait and see who the Vikings are going to suit up at quarterback at this one. It's not going to be J.J. McCarthy. I mean, we were talking before the show. It could be. I don't think it should be at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
The other thing, too, is this time of year, what do they have to play for? They're one of those teams where it's like losing benefits them, unfortunately, at this point. You hate to say that, but the question becomes, what are they going to do in the offseason? And that's kind of what we were talking about pre-show. I think the rest of this year, you want a stopgap, go and get Jameis Winston. He'd be a great locker room guy. At the worst, he'd give you some flair and some excitement to that offense, and then you go into the offseason, maybe you draft somebody, maybe a trade for like a Mac Jones or a Baker Mayfield. Is that too much of a reach for this Vikings team? Who knows? And it all depends on what you see from J.J. McCarthy. And, Jaden Daniels looked okay, is potentially coming back for this one. Saw him up in the booth on Thanksgiving cheering there. But, yeah, this one's off the board. Wait and see. really just depending on the quarterback situation for both teams. Marcus Mariota, as Chris Collinsworth says.
Really quick, just to jump in before we send it over to Ryan and give his thoughts on this game. Taken already much longer than I thought we would on this one. But to your point, I mean, the announcers kept saying, too, to help Rosmer, the wide receivers really had to, go a step above, and they were dropping passes that they probably could have made. So maybe give Justin Jefferson and Addison and Naylor a little bit more Jameis Winston in there. I could see it.
Give him a boost.
Yeah, just throw it up there. But as of right now, it is pretty much unbettable until we do know who is playing quarterback. And the Commanders coming off a brutal overtime loss, but they look
solid.
Yeah, they did look pretty good in that one.
Yeah, in the market, it opened 2.5. There are 1s and 1.5s available, but it's all to the Vikings, the home favorite, which I think is wrong.
How do you bet them?
Doesn't matter which quarterback is there. J.J. McCarthy hasn't been performing well when he has been in the lineup. Max Brosmer looked awful against Seattle, and Washington looked competitive against the number 2 seed in the AFC, Denver Broncos. Granted, Broncos might be a little questionable and have had very tight games all year, but Washington was competitive. Washington is competitive. Regardless if it's Jaden Daniels or Marcus Mariota, those two guys can make plays for you on offense. Dan Quinn leads a very tough team in general. They're hard-nosed. They want to win. It's not giving up on the year. The wrong team is favored in the market in this one. It'll be a play on Washington, depending on where it opens here at the South Point, because the best price is always here at the South Point. But going to the next one, Miami and the New York Jets, the Dolphins and Jets. I don't know how long it's been since both of these teams come into a matchup off of a win, but here we are. The Dolphins opened a 2.5-point favorite, total 42. We now sit at 3 in the market, or 3 here at the South Point, and down to 40.5.
I will just say right now, this is a play on the Jets for me at home, catching points. I liked them last week, found a way to win that one. I think they could keep it close in this one with the Dolphins, too. I mean, the Dolphins are just letting teams hang around, right? And even the Saints covered last week against them where they looked like they had a pretty good lead, but they're just not a very sound team right now.
No, and I'm not going to bet this, but the Jets as a home dog on a teaser leg right now at 2.5, you get that thing up to 8.5 over a touchdown. I like that. I'm not going to bet it because I wouldn't bet on the Jets with Ryan's money, but if you're into that kind of thing, that's actually not a bad home teaser dog.
Yeah, probably better than what I
got a tease coming up. There's a tease for you.
Well, let's keep it moving here. Another tough one, but we'll see if you like a teaser leg in this one at the South Point. The Cleveland Browns are a 4-point favorite at home. That is because they are playing the 1-11 Tennessee Titans. The total's 34. That should tell you all you really need to know about this matchup here. Nothing for me in this one. Matt, you find something you like?
No, okay. I don't. This one's gross. I'm not betting on the Titans at all. And Shedeur Sanders, is he hurt? Is he not? Who knows what we're going to get out of this game from both sides on the quarterbacking angle. This one's weird. This is like that one game a week that's just disgusting. That is a stay away for me, maybe a play to the over, depending on the health of both of these teams. But from a game that I'm not interested in whatsoever to a game that I actually am really looking forward to as somebody who lived in Pittsburgh for a while, Steelers at Ravens. It opened at Baltimore, laying 6.5 and the total of 45. Love the Ravens in this one. The Tomlin storyline is starting to become a real thing in Pittsburgh. Once it starts hitting social media there, that's when it really becomes real. It's just an interesting way that Steelers fans go about their business. But the under has hit in 9 of the last 10 in these two matchups. And Ryan, we looked before the show. What was it, like 91% of the money overall was coming in on the under between these AFC North foes?
Yep, that is exactly what it was. Looks like we've had a little movement there. It's now down to 89, but the 94% of tickets are on the under there.
There we go.
And I did just want to make a mention in that last Titans-Browns game. Myles Garrett sits at 19 sacks. He needs to get to 22.5 for the NFL record.
Wow.
I think he does it in this game against the Titans, getting 3.5 sacks. He had on his wrist last week 25 of his goal is his goal.
That's great.
That might be the best bet in this game, in that Titans-Browns game. But Alex, what are your thoughts there in Pittsburgh and Baltimore?
I'm with Matt. I do like the Ravens in this spot. I mean, 5 turnovers in that loss to the Bengals. I think they bounced back, and 3 of them were fumbles, so got to take care of the football here. I just don't think the Steelers team is like the past Steelers teams that we're used to that can really muck it up and stay close. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is fully healthy. And I know something's off about both of these teams. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
The Ravens are not the same Ravens team, but I think that this could be a good spot for them.
Like, how about this? Lamar Jackson, last 4 games combined, 1 passing touchdown and 56% completion. He's only rushed for 36 yards as a game high over the last 4 as well. So he's not been playing like himself. But the number that I found on this one that leads me to a play on the Ravens that I'll have at the end of the show. The Ravens have won 16 straight games as favorites following a division loss like they had last week. So that's a very bettable angle with a well-coached team with a lot of veterans that have built a culture. When they lose a divisional game and they're favored in the next one, they take care of business. They have been the 3rd best defense by defense success rate since week 8, and since week 6, they're number 5 in the NFL. I think they win this one in a low-scoring game. I'm all over the Ravens.
All right, we'll go down to Atlanta. The Falcons coming off of a game-winning field goal loss to the New York Jets, and the Seahawks coming off of a shutout 26-0 win to the Vikings. Seahawks opened a 7.5-point favorite. It's now down to 7, and 43.5 is what the total opened, and we are now up a point to 44.5.
This is a tough one, very tough to handicap. I think that number's pretty good. I made Seattle 6 on the road, though. Is there enough value to take that full touchdown here with the Falcons? I would be a little nervous. The Seahawks, one of my top teams in the league. They're just so good defensively, so I'm probably going to stay off of this one. But as of now, if you made me play it, I'd probably take the 7 and pray that Kirk Cousins and company could keep it close.
Well, the Seahawks are one of those teams right now, too, that I think kind of has incentive if they are up in a game to keep it going and keep the foot on the gas because, you know, they're good, but the Rams, they're looking up at the Rams at the top of the mountaintop in the NFC West. And, you know, they've got a lot to prove. They're one of the most underrated teams in the NFL coming into this week, and they've got an opportunity here over these last couple of weeks to really prove that they belong on the road against Atlanta. And they take on Indy and the Rams back-to-back at home. Those are going to be like playoff games in terms of the atmosphere. So this one is big to have a lot of momentum going into those 2 games at home for the Seahawks.
Another big game here. This is an AFC South from the 2 at the top right now. 8-4 Colts, 8-4 Jags. So very meaningful one here in Jacksonville. Indy is a 1.5-point favorite on the road. They've had their struggles as of late. The big question is, can this be a bounce back spot? I think it could. I think the Jags are just a little inflated as of right now. I'd be looking to the Colts side.
I agree. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is not playing well, and they're winning games despite that. Liam Cohen doing an outstanding job, and you could almost say the same for Shane Steichen. Of course, he's got the cop-out of Jonathan Taylor to just turn around and hand it to him 35 times a game, which I love as someone who's got him on every fantasy team imaginable. But this is a coaching battle, and I think Liam Cohen is not getting enough credit for the job that he's done despite losing his first-round draft pick this year in Travis Hunter, despite Trevor Lawrence not having one of the best, not even the top 5 best years of his career. So I think you got to give him credit. I'm with you, though. I think this line is a little bit inflated towards the Jags, and I like Indy to take care of business in a road divisional game.
Indy's going to need to win this one. They have 2 matchups. This is the first with the Jags left. They also have a matchup with the Texans, and all 3 of them are sitting right there. Well, Texans are 7-5, but they are all right there competitive for the top of this division lead. We're going to get 2-way action here. I like the Jags at home. I'm fading Daniel Jones with his broken fibula. That offense does not look right with him at quarterback right now.
There we go, Vinny.
I love Jonathan Taylor. I've been saying for the majority of this year that he should have an MVP conversation. But when your quarterback is hindered the way that Daniel Jones is, I'll take the Jags.
And the next 2 games for Indy at Seattle, as mentioned, and then back home against the 49ers, 2 playoff teams right now in the NFC. So this is a must-win for the same reason that it's a must-win this week for the Seahawks. And Ryan, I know you're glad that I'm taking this one because we may do a whole hour show on this next game if you were given the opportunity. Bears, Packers, open pack. Just about a touchdown favorite, open at 5.5 and 45. Look ahead line on this game over the summer, right at Green Bay laying the 5.5. So the books were spot on this one. Money's moving towards Green Bay as far as the line goes. So I think that this one could close closer to, if not at, a touchdown or over. If you like the Bears, I would wait to catch the 7 later in the week. And I love this one as a teaser, like no matter what on the Bears.
We're going to dive into this one in a bit. So I'll save my thoughts for then.
Agreed. Yeah.
Smart.
Looking forward to it, though, this NFC North matchup here.
We do have an NFC South matchup. The Saints not necessarily needing it. The Bucks do need it as they are now head-to-head with the Panthers with 2 matchups upcoming for the rest of this year. But this one, Bucks opened 8.5, total at 42.5. We are still Yeah, right there. 8.5, 42.5.
Tampa Bay looks good last week until they kind of just let the Cardinals hang around in that one. I think that this could be a spot where they could really break it open. Bucky Irving's back, and he got a lot of touches in the last game. I think he could even be more efficient in this one against this Saints defense. So as of right now, I like Tampa Bay, and I know we always talk about teasing up, but this feels like a great teaser leg to tease down and get under that 3. Early thoughts on that one? Anything for either of you?
I kind of agree with that same school of thought there, but I think Tampa 2 is a team that is well coached, does have talent, does have culture similar to Baltimore in a way where when they have a storyline to take care of, they typically have been able to take care of it, especially as of late with Baker Mayfield leading the charge. So I think against a team that they should clobber in the Saints, I think that's one of those games like we see the Patriots doing all year, maybe not playing the hardest schedule, but taking care of business against the teams that they're supposed to.
That's actually been Tampa Bay's flaw the last few years.
You think
that
so?
They need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been able to find a way to get into the playoffs. I think that this is a big game in terms of setting that storyline for the rest of the way that, hey, we are contenders and we are deserving right now of that 4 seed in the NFC.
Well, if they do manage to lose this game, the Bucs I'm talking about, if they do manage to lose this game, they will be tied with the Carolina Panthers record-wise with 2 matchups coming up head-to-head to decide this division going forward. So it is a must-win for the Bucs.
It also doesn't benefit the Saints to win at whatsoever.
Right.
Not that they're not going to try, but I mean, this is a team that is trying to lose. Fernando Mendoza is going to look great in the black and gold next year.
I would be looking at teasing it up with the Saints. It is a division rivalry, and granted, the Saints have not looked competitive. I won't be playing it as a teaser leg, but I would be more inclined to taking the 2 touchdowns there with New Orleans.
I don't hate that.
I think they have looked a little competitive. I think Tyler Shuck's done a pretty good job. Definitely.
He also he had that one outstanding throw off the back foot to the back of the end zone last week, and then the next drive throws one of the worst passes I've ever seen. He's not the answer. I think they know that, but it's just so frustrating. Especially my youngest brother is a huge Saints fan, and I'm watching the game with him, and he's all jazzed up about Tyler Shuck, and then 2 plays later, he's like, "It's over. Season's over." I'm like, "This season's been over. What do you mean?"
Well, speaking of season being over, the Las Vegas Raiders right now 2-10.
I love
taking on the 10-2 Broncos, who were very fortunate to get that win. All I'll say is the Broncos have 10 wins, but all of them have not all of them. Most of them have been by 1 score. You're getting 7.5 with the home team here. I think that's too many points, but I'm done betting on the Raiders for now. So I'm going to pass on this one, but it's a lot of points for a team that plays pretty tight games.
Yeah, but is there a home team in that game here in Las Vegas? That's been the big flaw for the Raiders, and it was something that was known going into building a stadium right off the Las Vegas Strip, is you're going to invite a lot of tourists and a lot of opposing fans. I don't think that they thought that difference would be this drastic as we've seen.
Matt, I think there's a lot of flaws on the field.
That's not even mentioning the flaws on the field.
There,
can they get a lineman? Can they get some offensive line help? Stay away from me on the Raiders. Anything until they really shore things up. Pete Carroll driving Chip Kelly out of town after less than a year. This one is an interesting matchup right now because the Cardinals are surging offensively, if you want to put it like that. They stuck around, and Jacoby Brissett has looked downright competent, filling in for Kyler Murray, and the Cardinals host the Rams this weekend. Rams opened as a minus 8-point favorite, total at 48. And while this one, the Rams have allowed the 2nd least points per game in the league and have scored the 6th most. They've given up 57 points over their last 2 road games combined. This defense has shown some holes, and I think Jacoby Brissett, who's posted a respectable 23 points per game this season while he's starting, has an opportunity to post a lot of points. This one's tough for a Rams team that, is in the division lead. They are in the driver's seat. They are first in just about everybody's power rankings in the NFL. But they dropped a big one last week, and a lot of folks expected them in a bounce-back angle this week. I like over in this one. I think these are 2 offenses that are going to try to drive it down the field because defensively that has been the weakness for the Rams, is they've been able to, or they have given up some big chunk plays, and Jacoby Brissett, no stranger and not afraid to fire it down the field against a veteran defense.
It makes no difference to Sean McVay and the Rams if they cover this game or not. They just need to win it in order to keep pace in their division. Mm-hmm. They are tied with 3 teams in their division at 9 wins, and the Cardinals have 9 losses. So there was also a clip of Marvin Harrison Jr. getting interviewed in the locker room after last week's loss, and he had no idea that the Cardinals were eliminated from postseason contention. He had no idea that last week was a must-win game. the fact that the coaching staff doesn't hammer home that we'll be done after this week if we lose, or we need to win this game in order to stay live for our playoff opportunities, kind of shows you the difference in the coaching staffs here.
Yeah.
So I would not be playing the Cardinals until they find a new leader instead of Jonathan Gannon.
How is that not mentioned? And I haven't been a fan of Gannon's ever since his introductory press conference. And was it Rondale Moore that he met when he was doing all the weird hand signals?
Yeah.
He's like, we're going to have you go pew, pew, pew. I'm like, how's the locker room going to respect this guy? I mean, you got Mike Vrabel literally doing push-ups and taking his shirt off. Ben Johnson taking his shirt off too, and all these macho men. And then you got Gannon doing weird hand signals. And I haven't been a fan of his since he got hired. However, I will say, I mentioned that I like this one as a teaser. Like, I like the Cardinals. If you can get it up to 2 touchdowns, especially, I think this line's going to move. This may be one that you wait and get it up to 15 on a 6-point tease during the week. I think all the money's going to come in on the Rams as a road favorite, and you fade the public, so to speak, by taking that tease. But it's not necessarily the worst if you can get it to 2 touchdowns or over. I don't think this is a blowout. I love that you had mentioned that too. Sean McVay and the boys don't need to blow them out. They just need to win this game and continue to do that the rest of the year.
Yeah, that is actually one of my favorite lines too. They don't really care how much they win by.
And
just
maybe a
have 2
look ahead
wins,
as they
right?
take on Detroit next week.
Very true. Just to kind of sum up what you said, Jacoby Brissett's been really good. I mean, they've been much better than they were with Kyler Murray. So I like what I've seen from them. That's a good note that Ryan also said, though, because now how deflating is that they didn't even know that they were going to be eliminated with that loss. What do we get from them that coming into this week?
There's going to be some angry cards coming out, yeah.
Well, to either
would hope.
how you want to play it, yeah. But 14 sounds like probably the right way to play that one. Another one that we are going to deep dive into. No, it's not, because I'm skipping over Ryan, because Ryan's going to take the next one. But Brian, what do we got for this AFC matchup here? We love this quarterback matchup.
Yeah, both teams coming into this one off of pretty big road wins. The Bengals defeated the Baltimore Ravens on Thanksgiving on the road, and the Buffalo Bills bludgeoned the Steelers on Saturday, making the Steelers fans boo renegade. So both
Yes.
teams feeling good. Bills opened a 5.5-point favorite. We still sit there. Total open 52. We are up a half a point to 52.5.
That's how you know it's bad in Pittsburgh, when they're booing Renegade. Sticks doesn't get booed very often there. Yeah, this one's interesting. Joey B, welcome back. He looked really, really good and really showed no ill effects of missing any time, and didn't really show any effects of the injury. He looks healthy. Josh Allen, the all-time leader now in rushing touchdowns by a quarterback. Now that he's got that monkey off the back, he can play a little bit more freely. This Bills team is not at all what we thought that they were coming into the year. They're struggling defensively, and James Cook has been the main feature of this offense, and he has been a revelation in a lot of ways. And I think that's how the Bills are going to try to take advantage of a pretty porous Bengals run defense.
Honestly, watching the Bills games right now, it looks like Josh Allen and James Cook and no one else out there on the offense.
Well, they let every receiver not named Keon Coleman walk.
That is true. This is probably my favorite play so far of the week, taking that 5.5 with Cincinnati. They still are playing as if they are going to make a push into the playoffs. They very well could. I think that we've seen this from Cincinnati in the past, right? Where they just rattle off 5 or 6 in a row and are right there in week 18 with a chance to make it into the playoffs. I think it's a good time to start betting on Cincinnati, taking the 5.5, a little bit of that money line. The Bills, as you mentioned, I mean, they let the Steelers hang around and then kind of open it up the second half. I don't think they're going to be able to do that against this Bengals offense. And they should have everybody back, right? Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
Bengals not in the worst spot ever at 4-8. I mean, with a win and the Dolphins loss this week, they jump into 11th in the AFC. You got the Steelers and the Chiefs both right there at 6-6. There's a chance in 2 weeks that they're half a game outside of a playoff spot with 2 wins.
Well, don't forget too, the Ravens and the Steelers playing each other,
That's huge.
right, Ryan? So that's another loss for either of those teams.
I'm assuming a Ravens win. Yeah,
we're hoping.
Yeah. This one we're taking a deep dive in later, but I think this is my favorite game of the week.
Is it? Okay, let's go into it. AFC, we're talking about the Texans here, who have rattled off a few wins, whether it is Davis Mills or now CJ Stroud back. So this is a big matchup. The Chiefs on the other side got to get back on the winning side. They're a 3.5-point favorite here at the South Point. Total 42. Huge game, Matt, in regards to who will make it into the playoffs here.
And it was a must-win game for the Texans last week. They came out and showed that they are where they belong in that AFC South battle. I mean, and with the Jaguars surging and the Colts being how they have been in the early part of the season, they've got some work to do. So for the Texans, this absolutely is a must-win game. It's a rematch of that horrendous playoff game in Kansas City a handful of years ago where they were up big and allowed the Chiefs to slowly come back into this one. And look, for the Texans, it wasn't necessarily a pretty win over the Colts. 2016 was the final, kind of a gross game. But C.J. Stroud completed 22 passes, 276 yards, and they shut down Jonathan Taylor. I think that's a huge win there. The Chiefs really don't have much of a semblance of a run game at this point. So I think that if you're the Texans, you go one of two ways. You either have 3 down linemen and you drop 8 in coverage and you make Patrick Mahomes try to pick you apart. That's a scary proposition. The other one's scary as well against a guy like him where you just blitz, and blitz some more and make him move and make them bring in some extra blockers and the running backs and the tight ends. I think we see a pretty aggressive play calling defensively from DeMeco Ryans one way or another, whether it's super conservative or super blitz heavy. I think we see basically extreme one way or another in this game.
Well, as you mentioned, we are going to dive into this a little bit more after we hit that Monday night game, but I'm excited. I think we might have some two-way action on the desk, but we'll find out in a little bit here. But Monday night is actually probably second favorite game of the week for me. If I had to put an order on it, it's the Eagles at the Chargers. Ryan and I were talking about the Chargers uniforms they wore last week in the win over the Raiders. I liked them. They have a better uni combo. I think that they've got the best uniforms in the league outside of the yellows. I think those are gross. But both of these teams come in 8-4. Philly opened a 3-point favorite, total at 41. The Chargers have struggled as home dogs. They're one of those teams that the books have been spot on when they give a line one way or another, especially at SoFi Stadium. And it's similar to Allegiant, where it's not as much of a home field advantage as you would expect. They've gone just 2-8 straight up and 4-5-1 against the spread in their last 10 games as home dogs. And in the Jim Harbaugh era, their only win as a home dog, get this, was in Brazil. They have not won as a home dog under Jim Harbaugh at SoFi Stadium. And what's more, this is kind of a league-wide trend. Road favorites of 3 points or more this year in the NFL are 34-13 straight up. So that fits the Eagles here. 34-13 road dogs of 3 points or more in the NFL this year. That line toggling right there on that key number of 3. And yeah, here at the South Point, it's down to 2.5. So this one right there on the line. I think we see some money coming on the Chargers as the Justin Herbert injury news kind of gets released throughout the week. There's some questions there, and I think that's why this line is dropped under 3 points. But again, that number, I think too striking to ignore. Road favorites, 3 or more in the NFL this year, 34-13 straight up. Of course, he did have surgery on his non-throwing hand, so it is unknown whether he will play.
All the cool quarterbacks are doing that nowadays.
That's right.
Aaron Rodgers.
But he did come back and play the second half of that game.
And he's had a bunch of hand injuries in the past. Remember last year on his throwing hand, he had like 3 of his fingers taped together?
Yes.
I mean, that guy's tough as nails.
Yeah.
So I don't expect Justin Herbert to skip a beat in this game. That being said, I still like the Eagles. I think it'll be close. I could see, a 27-24, 24-21 type of win for Philly, a tough one on the road.
If you like the Eagles, definitely find that 2.5. If you like the Chargers, there are some 3s still out there, a couple books here in Las Vegas. Ryan, anything for you in this game?
Well, Matt had the final score prediction of 24-21, which would lean him to the over, but we did have Attila in the chat wondering, Matt, how comfortable are you with these primetime unders this week?
Love my primetime unders. Especially in a game where the road team's favored and the road team would benefit from a lower scoring game. You couple that with the Justin Herbert injury. I don't think either of these teams necessarily lights up the scoreboard. And I think it's close. Close games, generally speaking, lean to the under. So I do like unders, and I like the first half unders in the primetime games. And again, it happened again last night. Over 3.5 combined field goals for both teams in the primetime games. They offer that every primetime game here at South Point. Patriots kicker had 4 last night himself, plus he missed one. The primetime unders have been great. Over 3.5 combined field goals in these primetime games have been excellent as well. So keep that in mind, Attila. I love the field goal props.
I'm going to imagine Thursday night might be the one that you're going to stay away from that under.
53.5.
Stay tuned. You'll have to find out. We're going to dive into that one as well as the Texans, Chiefs, and the Bears and the Packers. So looking forward to that. Let's take a quick break. When we get back, deep dive into those 3 games. We've got today's action. We've got some games on the ice. We've got some games on the hardwood. And then I'm going to give out my top 10 as well as we look into BYU and Texas Tech coming up this week for Big 12. We'll be right back here on Sports by the Book.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
All right, let's get to it here. We've got a big matchup this Thursday, the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions. Big matchup for these two in regards to the NFC. Lions coming off a brutal loss against the Packers, and the Cowboys have won 3 in a row. We talked about it last week. First, they beat the Raiders, and then they beat the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year. But first, the Eagles, then the Chiefs on Thanksgiving. So what are we thinking in this one, Matt, right now? The Lions are 3.5 here at the South Point, 3 pretty much everywhere else. So they're taking the hook, total 54.5.
And typically in these games, you see a lot of the juice and a lot of the action come in later in the week on a home favorite like you would the Lions, especially with the storyline of Jared Goff in a dome. But I think this one's going to be the opposite. You've got a big favorite team, a big public team, I should say, in the Cowboys, laying points on the road, catching them rather. And I think that the line is going to move the other way, if I had to guess on it. I think the Cowboys are going to get a lot of the late action. They've been hot. Dak Prescott has been surging. This defense is starting to figure things out. And we had talked about this game in terms of the total. Normally, I am in love with the primetime unders. This one may be a different story. It's these two teams playing the week after Thanksgiving. This game's on Amazon Prime, so you could get your Christmas shopping done and then just stay on that same app and watch this game on Thursday night. But the Cowboys are 31st in the league in points allowed in general. I think that by itself lends you to an overplay. But how about this? Detroit, off of losses this year, just in 3 of them, have scored 52, 44, and 34. Those are their 3 highest points outputs on the year. They're all off of losses, and I think that this Detroit team is going to respond well against a Cowboys team that has a little bit of confidence, but we've seen this team become somewhat of a paper tiger in the past. When they get hot, they're able to get their legs cut out from underneath them by a opponent that may be inferior. I think the Lions at home are going to need to win this one. I think that that's a big motivation factor as well, with the Packers and the Bears playing later that weekend.
Well, you talk about the Lions coming in off of a loss. Dan Campbell, in his tenure as the Lions head coach off of a loss, is 18-13-1 straight up. Keep in mind that he did start his tenure 0-10-1, so that kind of inflated that for those straight up numbers. So 18-13-1 straight up, 22-10 against the spread off a loss. And just an added, Dan Campbell 1-4 now on Thanksgiving. The week following Thanksgiving, undefeated, currently 4-0, looking for 5-0 this week against Dallas. Dallas, all-time, though, in this rivalry between these two teams that play on Thanksgiving every year. Dallas leads 19-13. Dallas had won 6 straight prior to getting their ass beat last year, 47-9. I would like to think that these Cowboys have a bad taste in their mouth from that beating, and they're feeling confident, and the Lions are hurt. Give me the 3.5 right now, because Matt thinks it's going to move. And so if you like the Lions, wait. If you like the Cowboys, you need the hook on this 3. Ryan
tricks you a little bit. He sets you up. You think he's going with the Lions there, giving you all these trends about Campbell, and then
a curveball.
Just flips it. But we're going to have some two-way action here, so we aren't going to be cursed by the TBTB stamp of approval. But I think you nailed it. I do think it's going to move. I'm going to wait and see if I can get under that 3 at 2.5. Major reason is the look ahead. I mean, before the season, it was Lions 6 in this matchup against the Cowboys. Just last week, before 1-1 and one of them lost, it was 5.5. Buy low for the Lions. Sell high on the Cowboys. They still have their flaws. Don't forget they were down 21-0 to the Eagles before coming back to win that one. I will just say, though, and you brought up Dak Prescott and how he has played, when him, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens are clicking there, they are a tough offense to beat. We'll see if they can get it done against the Lions here.
They really can be. Once they find some semblance of a running game, they're going to be tough.
Yeah, we got our guy Drew Dog putting together this meme for us. So the Grim Reaper Cowboys managed to slash the Eagles, slash the Chiefs, and are now looking to do it to the Lions.
Are we going to make this graphic next week when they take on the Vikings?
I don't know if it's that much.
I don't know if it's warranted
to go for. Yeah, my little elf door.
Yeah, I love it.
Very good. I will just say, Chris Andrews said before the season started that as long as he's been doing this, he's never felt like the Cowboys were maybe undervalued. And going into this year, he thought they were potentially undervalued.
Interesting.
And now they've made some good trades. They have been playing a lot better, so we'll find out a lot, I think, in this one.
You can't say they haven't made an effort from a player personnel standpoint over these last 2 years. Whether the trades have been correct or not remains to be seen, but an effort is being made by Jerry and Stephen Jones regardless. You can't deny that.
Yeah.
And one added factor, Dan Campbell did admit last year that, or kind of was emotional in the way that they got eliminated from the playoffs, that might have been their one opportunity.
Yes.
Was the wrong Jenga block pulled with their offensive coordinator leaving last year and Ben Johnson? Have they lost kind of their step and the injuries coming in this year? Is the Lions window closing?
I do think it is closing because you can only be in that window for so long. I mean, outside of Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, we've seen every other championship window be about 3 or 4 years. And this is closing for Detroit because they've never had a solid defense. One of the reasons that the Chiefs have been able to do what they've done over the last handful of years is because they've had Steve Spagnuolo and one of the league's top defenses, as well as one of the most innovative quarterbacks of all time in Patrick Mahomes. As flashy as the quarterback play can be, and Jared Goff has reinvented himself, you need a defense. You see Dak Prescott coming really back strong after getting that big contract and fluctuating the other way, but you need defense to sustain a long run. So I think for the Lions, you're right, 100%, Ryan. I think that this is probably the last year of their window as this roster is currently constructed. They're not going to be able to keep this core around together too much longer.
It's really tough. I mean, you brought up the injuries, and we saw it last year, and they could kind of overcome it on the defensive side. Few more on that side or reoccurring, and now the offense is really so could be closing. We'll see. It's a big game here between these two.
And as long as nobody goes full Frank Ragnow and has a grade 3 hamstring strain sitting on the couch, we're going to be all right. What's up with that?
That's
very
disappointing.
That's like muscle falling off the bone grade hamstring tear.
Grade 3, yeah.
And he hasn't played in the league in a year.
And it looked like he was going to be a huge improvement for them.
Well, I wonder if he gets any paycheck at all.
We did have Dean Hilt watching us live, letting us know that Dallas is 2-4 on the road. There are 2 wins in MetLife against the Jets and here in Las Vegas against the Raiders. So going to Detroit is a whole different task. And then we also have Attila letting us know that we have successfully scared him off of this Thursday night matchup, that he's just going to crack open a beer and watch this one.
That's my kind of fan right there.
You know what, Dean Hilt, that is a point I forgot to bring up. This is the Lions' 3rd straight home game. So they won one, they lost on Thanksgiving, and now they have a fortunate scheduling quirk here where they get a 3rd home game.
And they're one of the best home field teams in the league. I don't know, Ryan.
They could use that to their advantage. Listen, I'll be honest. Ryan and I's head-to-head so far this year, I think he's got me. So.
Yeah, but now we're head-to-head against Ryan, so we'll see how that goes. It's a team sport.
I didn't know. I thought you were going to.
Betting's a team game. No, I like the Lions. I'm not going to bet it, but I like the Lions, especially with this line likely going to move the other way. If they're going to be under 3 points, I think that they cover that at home.
Well, from one big NFC matchup to an NFC North Division matchup here, the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers, money moving towards the home team here with the Packers from 5.5 up to 6.5. So a lot of people have been talking about the Bears being pretty lucky. You can say what you want, and they were pretty lucky for a while, but now winning is contagious. They're finding ways to get it done. Matt, what are you thinking? Are you taking the 6.5 here with Ryan's Bears, or are you going to look at the total, 44.5?
Well, just full transparency, I'm going to put this one on a teaser that I'll give away at the end of the show. Right now, you get the Bears over 13 points. I like that a lot. Right now, I would be up to 12.5 in the 6-point tease, and I think the Packers take some money, so I think the Bears are going to be at some point or another a 7-point dog. So I like that as a tease leg. I also like over. Now it's going to be cold. It's going to be breezy, and it's going to be a little bit blustery this weekend at Lambeau Field. 44.5 of these two teams feels a little bit low. Both of these teams kind of waking up offensively. Ben Johnson has kind of figured out Caleb Williams in a lot of ways, and we're starting to see the connection with his wideout crew become better as the year goes on. Last Friday, they put up 425 yards against the Eagles day after Thanksgiving and racked up 28 first downs, held the ball for almost 40 minutes in the game. So the Bears come in with a little bit of offensive confidence, and Jordan Love has looked really sharp in his last couple of games. These two defenses are pretty good at this point of the year. Both of these teams' strength right now is the offense. So I like over on this one. I'm also going to put the Bears on the teaser if you can get it over 13 points. Well, what do you think about that, Ryan, on the total? I think that the weather, kind of a non-factor in this one between two teams that play in the weather a ton.
Yeah, the line of scrimmage is going to determine this game for sure. I had said the same thing talking about Packers-Eagles, and that one was a low-scoring game, and the Bears absolutely bullied the Eagles on the offensive line of scrimmage this past week, which does not happen. You're right. 281 yards of rushing on the ground last week for the Chicago Bears. Going to bring in an all-time note. Okay. I am a Chicago Bears fan. This is the 211th all-time meeting between these teams. Green Bay leads 108, 96, and 6. The Packers have won 26 of the last 30.
Oh, my God.
I vividly remember a time in elementary school, my principal was a Green Bay Packers fan. Yes, I did go see her a lot. I remember pointing out that the Bears had the all-time lead in this rivalry.
Oh, no.
And it is completely flipped. 26 out of the last 30 for Green Bay. The Bears did, however, win in January of this year. If the Bears manage to win in Lambeau this weekend, it'll be the first time in 106 years that the Bears won 2 games in a calendar year in Lambeau Field.
Wow.
I want to bring in that fact that they beat them in Lambeau last year. The Bears have several returning players from that 2024 team, including the quarterback, who learned how to win in Lambeau. You add in Ben Johnson, who antagonized Matt LaFleur in his introductory press conference as the Chicago Bears head coach. He gave a shout out to Dan Campbell and Kevin O'Connell, being coach of the year candidates, being top dogs in this NFC. And then he said he enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year.
Yeah.
The Green Bay, everyone in the media is talking about the Chicago Bears. I am tempering my expectations. You don't need to just win this one. You have another meeting in 3 weeks in Chicago. You need to win them both for me to be confident in turning the tide. With that being said, the 5.5 I thought was closer to the right number. This moving to 6.5 does not put respect on what the Bears have done this year in how they're playing football. And we talked about how the Packers are a paper tiger and haven't been as dominant as they should have been going into the year. Why are we now getting to a touchdown in this game? It's definitely a play for me. And if it continues to grow, I'm going to have more money on my team. But I'll have to see how it goes on Sunday.
What do you think of the money line?
I'll tell you why. And the big difference here, because right now Chicago is 8th in points per game and Green Bay is 10th at 24.5. But the big difference is on the defensive side, where Chicago has really struggled. And opponent yards per game, they're 27th, giving up 359. Green Bay is 4th, giving up under 300 at 284. They're also 6th in points allowed at 18.8, and Chicago is 25th. So they have found ways. They're outscoring opponents to get these wins, but not by a whole lot. Matt likes the over. I'm leaning under. I think that this is going to be a rock fight, and I think Green Bay ultimately wins this one. Not saying I won't flip when the Bears are at home, but I think that they will have home field advantage in this. 6.5, I think that number's right. That's where mine is. So I'm not going to touch the spread, but I like the home team here.
I also think the line's going to go down throughout the week as the weather continues to be a storyline.
The total, yes.
You continue to point out what Where was I going to go?
What are we pointing out?
No, yes, the defense, and I understand, and I completely agree. Understand the Packers defense is the better unit comparing the defenses. Oh man,
he just started thinking about Micah Parsons and his mind.
Not at all afraid of that.
And what?
I might have been thinking people continue to bet against Bears, and it has not worked out.
We'll see.
Should have been betting on them these last few weeks.
Ben Johnson going tarps off should scare everybody.
Oh, the point differential. Yes.
Oh, that's what reminded him of that. Okay.
That was what I was going to say. So going into last week, the Chicago Bears had a negative point differential and are now just above even in the point differential, having beaten the Eagles. So yeah, you are right. They are winning games close. They are finding ways to win games, and that comes with the head coach. You'll never see me back in the Green Bay Packers.
Oh,
there's another team. Well, actually, it's the whole AFC North I was looking at with that negative point differential now that is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Bears, we can leave them alone as of right now because they are in the positive.
They're in the positive. Congratulations. Welcome to the real world.
So we got an over, we got an under, and we've got taking the points here with the Bears for that big NFC North
three-way
matchup.
action.
Maybe I'll go first half under so we can.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't want to go head to head in all of these.
I'm scared.
One more. Let's get to it here. Let's go from the NFC to the AFC. The Chiefs are in danger of missing out on the playoffs. They're at home. They've got an opportunity here against the Houston Texans, who very well could be the best defense in the league right now. They are number one in points allowed. They're number one in opponent yards allowed. They're very good. This Houston's defense, that is what has kept them above 500 now. So they actually have a shot to make it into the playoffs. Catching 3.5, Matt, they are on the road. What do you think about this one? Total is 42.
I mean, I think part of the reason this line is where it is because of the Arrowhead tax. The Chiefs 26-4 ATS in their last 30 home games, but this is not the normal Chiefs team that we're used to seeing. I mean, we've seen Patrick Mahomes at times struggle when teams don't blitz, and we saw the Cowboys last week blitz for, what was it, 35? Yeah, 35% blitz rate for the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. Mahomes threw for 4 touchdowns and 261 yards. So I mentioned earlier, I think that the Texans are going to go either really aggressive or really conservative. I would assume the latter, and this is a Chiefs team that needs to win this game. Texans, right now, the best run defense in the league, the best overall defense in the league. They allow just 265 yards per game, and I think that they've done a great job of limiting some of the best quarterbacks in the league to some of their worst performances of the year. And the other note that I found that was troubling if you're a Chiefs backer as a home favorite in this one, this year in one-score games, Kansas City is 1-6. And that's the exact opposite of where they've been over the last handful of years. Remember, they had that record for wins in one-score games over a season and over a couple of years. So I think that that's really troubling. And I think against an elite defense, don't get it twisted, this is an elite defense, one of the best in football with the Houston Texans. I think that they're able to keep it almost in a phone booth and make Patrick Mahomes make the one-on-one decisions to beat them and shut down the running game and really leave the Chiefs as a one-dimensional team. I'm all over the Texans as a teaser leg. I wouldn't be surprised if they win this game straight up against a very desperate KC team playing at home.
I like this under even more than I like the other under. I actually made this one 38. Ooh. These are two top 10 defenses, and you brought up Spags' defense earlier on in our show. Houston right now, number one, opponent points allowed. Kansas City, 7th in points allowed, and they are in the top 10 for yards allowed as well. They are 9th, 306. And let's not act like this Texans offense has been fabulous, right? I mean, they found ways to win the last few weeks, but they're still nothing great. Nico Collins has been awesome, but they've got a lot of work to do, and I think they're going to struggle against this defense. So under for me, Ryan, side or total, where are you looking for this good AFC matchup here?
Kansas City has won 5 straight in this matchup. And then you add into the fact that Kansas City's coming into this one off of a loss. Since 2013, when Andy Reid took over as the Kansas City Chiefs head coach, off of a loss, they are 37-21 straight up, 3rd best in the National Football League in the last 12 years. 30-26-2 against the spread, 10th best in the National Football League. And totals, 26-32, so 32 unders, leaning to it there, especially with how strong these defenses are. But I love this Texans defense. And then you have Derek Stingley, who's been absolutely shut down, who was a Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, who I picked to win Rookie of the Year. And then I also picked Kamari Lassiter to win Rookie of the Year last year, who has been outstanding in the corner. He didn't win it last year. But I love what the Texans have on defense. If we do make the Chiefs one-dimensional, I do think the Texans can shut them down. This will be a very heavy defensive game. I don't hate the teaser leg, but I like the 3.5 period. I think the Texans, this is going to be a playoff game. We've seen Andy Reid in his presser this week talking about how the Chiefs are going to tickle teams' tonsils the rest of this year. So this is going to be a very, very hard-fought game. But I like the Texans to get this one done.
I got 2 more notes on this one. You mentioned Derek Stingley. I had to pull up a note that I got sent yesterday. Last 6 games, Derek Stingley, these are the yards per game allowed. 0, 0, 11, 9, 30, and 7. He's allowed 5 receptions on 19 targets in his last 6 games against. He has been the single best shutdown cover corner. Not quite Revis Island, but definitely getting to that point. And the other thing, too, you got to consider is a potential coaching advantage for the Chiefs with Andy Reid having a couple extra days on a rest advantage. They played on Thanksgiving and won't play again in this one or until this one. And depending on how you factor in the rest advantage, even if it's just a couple of days, the Chiefs have won 16 straight home games when playing with the rest advantage. So I think that is a bettable angle. That being said, I like the Texans because this year's Chiefs team is not what they've been in the past. Again, 1-6 in the one-score games. I think that's the most troubling note for me and what's expected, at least by the books, to be a one-score game.
I like the other side. If I were to play a side, I'm not going to because I like the under even more. So laying points when you're going for an under is kind of a dangerous spot. But looking at the teams that these two have played as of late, I mean, the Chiefs have one of the toughest schedules in the league, and they lost to the Bills, the Broncos, and the Cowboys, who are all very good offensively, and the Broncos, very good defensively, found a way to beat the Colts in a very tough one there. On the other side with Houston, I mean, they're 4 straight wins here against the Jags, the Titans, the Bills, and the Colts. So I just think there's a little bit of difference there, but we'll see. I mean, we'll learn a lot from both of these teams. I think it's kind of a buy low on the Chiefs. I think this number should be 5, if I'm being honest.
You think so?
But I still have the Chiefs pretty high. But that is because, I mean, like you said, it's kind of been a regression with losing these one-score games, but they're still, statistically, they're still a top 10 team.
It's like they are who they are, but a lot of the league has adjusted around them for sure. They're not going to change who they are.
That's a very good point.
So
they found ways, right?
They're also a huge public team, especially at home. If you look, the Texans get it now because this one's going to dip under, or this one's going to get bigger. Rather, if you like the Chiefs, take it now because this is going to go to 4. This one, I think it will close closer to 5 than it does to 3.
Well, by the end of the week, Thursday or Friday, when Ryan and I are going over this game, we'll learn a lot because Chris always says that 3.5 tells you a lot because if the Sharps liked it, that half a point would be gone, right? Kind of like we're seeing for the Thursday game. That must be public and sharp money, taking the 3.5 with the Cowboys. So.
Especially here at a place like South Point where the numbers do move based off of sharp action almost exclusively. Yeah. If somebody liked the Texans at 3.5, they would have taken them already.
So we're on agreement in the under, right? But we've got a teaser leg, we got the 3.5, and I'm leaning to the home team there. What could go wrong for me? I'm in all favorites.
We have also seen Patrick Mahomes show some favoritism, not necessarily favoritism, because Rashee Rice has been their best receiver for them this year, and he has been targeting him like that the last couple of weeks. But just an added factor going against Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter. Going to have to keep up with Rashee Rice, but not necessarily thinking it's going to be a big game from Rashee there.
I think the difference is too drastic in terms of the cover corners versus the wide receiver skill of the Chiefs.
Well, they got the speed. They just haven't really been able to put a full game together so far this year. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that. They got some big wins, including the Colts and Lions. No, they lost to the Lions, didn't they?
Different Chiefs team, 1-score game.
That's right. It is. Well, let's move forward. Let's go to top 10. I'm going to give it the top 10, but let's dive into the Big 12 matchup we have in college football tomorrow with Chris Felica, the Bear. We'll go through all of the conference title games, but with Matt, we wanted to kind of hone in here on the team that's closer in region with BYU because you do know this team and you like the Texas Tech Red Raiders. So Big 12 matchup. It's a rematch between these two, right? And the first one, Texas Tech dominated that game, and that is why you're seeing such a big line here, 13.5 for Texas Tech over BYU. BYU needs this in order to get into the playoffs.
Very much so.
Started off here. Do you think they have a shot to at least cover this line? Do you think they have a shot to win it outright?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, in this game being played at Jerry World AT&T Stadium in Arlington does give Texas Tech a big measure of a home field advantage in this game. They're a big favorite. It's the second biggest line in any conference championship game behind only James Madison, a 22-point favorite against Troy in the Sun Belt championship game. So, again, you had mentioned it's a matchup of earlier this year. Texas Tech won 29-7 at home against BYU. Texas Tech, when favored by 13 points or more in their last 10-0 straight up, 9-1 ATS. And BYU, when a dog of 13 points or more, that's why this number is so key, 1-9 straight up, 4-6 ATS in their last 10. So at least historically, as of late, when these two teams are where they are right now in the books and in terms of the numbers, the home team is able to take care of business in being Texas Tech. And the other thing, too, in terms of the total on this game, I like over, even though it went way under earlier this year, because Texas Tech, coming in as hot as any team in college football offensively, they have scored 42 points or more in 5 of their last 6 games. Now, BYU is going to be the best defense that they faced in those last 6 games, but this is a distracted Cougars team with the storyline of their coach potentially leaving for Penn State, as they had really started to get that rumor going yesterday, and I could absolutely see it with the money that's being thrown around. And if Satake stays at BYU, he's going to be getting a huge pay raise to keep him there, and for good reason. It's warranted. He's a great coach. But I think Texas Tech has too many advantages. They've also got Jacob Rodriguez, who was a Heisman candidate. They tried their hardest to make him a Heisman candidate, but he is one of the best linebackers, let alone defensive players in the country. And I think he gives them an advantage. I could see this one being closer. This is a tough number to cover. But again, as mentioned, Texas Tech in their last 10 as a 13-point favorite or more, 10-0 straight up, 9-1 ATS, and BYU 1-9 straight up and 4-6 ATS over that same trend when they're giving up 13 points or more.
Ryan, what do you think about this 11-1 matchup? Both of them 8-1 in conference play. Of course, Texas Tech just losing to last year's Big 12 champion in Arizona State earlier this year, but rematch between these two.
Yeah, I do think the distraction of your head coach being talked to by another school does kind of play in here, as well as the fact is they got beat up in the matchup earlier this year, didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter.
They got bullied.
Yeah, it's the Red Raiders for me, and the cookies may crumble the wrong way for the Cougars here on Saturday.
I see what you did there. Crumble Cookie CEO is the one trying to give them all kinds of money to keep them around. That is bravo, Ryan.
It's a tough one to handicap because now I'll go to my top 10 for college football, as I have been doing every Tuesday throughout this college football season, and we'll give Chris Andrews as well. But Chris Andrews has had Texas Tech.
He has been all over them.
In the top 5 for a while now, and it has taken me some time, but now they are officially in my top 10. So I think that says a lot about where this school is and coming into this game. So Ohio State stays at number 1. Indiana moves back up to 2. I actually had Notre Dame at 2 last week. So the top 3, again, are the Big Ten schools: Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. Texas Tech moves all the way up to number 4 for me. They have been a covering machine. They've won by double digits against multiple opponents. Notre Dame, number 5. I still think that they are one of the best in the country and should be in this playoffs. Alabama at number 6. I have them as the top SEC school right now. Miami, Florida was tied with Ole Miss last week at 10. Both of them jump up. Miami, Florida at 7 now. Very impressive the last few weeks. They had a small chunk of time and they had 2 losses in there, but now they are playing more like that team that beat Notre Dame to start off the season. Ole Miss at number 8. Talk about distractions. Did not faze them last week against Mississippi State. Took care of business. Number 9, Texas A&M. They drop off a little bit with that loss to Texas. The turnovers really got them there. And then number 10 is Georgia. So Utah fell out of my top 10. Now I have Miami and Ole Miss both in the top 10.
And Ole Miss stayed in week to week. I'm proud of you.
And Ole Miss.
That's been the team I was begging you to put in there for weeks.
2 weeks in a row. We'll see what the committee decides to do with them tonight now that they don't have a head coach or an offensive coordinator or a
GM or although not as many staffers left as I thought. They were able to keep more guys in-house than they had initially anticipated. My question for you, SEC championship game, Georgia-Bama. If Georgia wins that game over the, in your mind, higher rated Alabama team, where does that put them?
Georgia?
Yeah, let's say it's a 27-20 win.
I definitely think they're going to be top 4. Oh, you mean in mine?
In yours, yeah.
Oh, I mean, that would be a big...
Because that gets SEC champions getting a top 4 seed. No doubt about it. They're getting a top 4 ranking in the CFP with the way it's set up. But for you in these top 10 ratings, where would you put Georgia after a win like that?
All number based, but right now the books have Georgia -2.5. I actually have Alabama as a small favorite in that one. So I would have to adjust because Georgia would cover. So I'd probably have to go 2 points each way. And that might get Georgia up there to 5, I'd say.
I would put Georgia ahead of Notre Dame without any of the other games put in there because it's a conference championship and because Georgia would be beating Alabama. Whoever wins that ACC championship game is going to be in your top 5, I would guess.
Yeah, I think you're right.
No doubt about it.
Little adjustment
tough game. Georgia, Alabama, SEC championship. Who would have thought?
Yeah, exactly.
Just like we all predicted every year for the last 30 years.
I really thought it might be A&M and Texas. Well, I did.
Or Ole Miss even. I was waiting for some anarchy in the SEC.
Ole Miss would have been a lot of fun as well. But in regards to the Big 12, I'm with you guys. I do think that Texas Tech is just too good of a team, and it's mostly on their defensive side. They're number 2 right now in points allowed out of 136 FBS schools. They're 4 in opponent yards per game, and they are 2nd in opponent yards per play. You got to imagine, though, BYU is going to come out and be more aggressive. They tried to establish the run last time and kind of protect their young freshman quarterback and Bear Brockmeyer, but I think they're going to have to come out and be aggressive.
Well, with Jacob Rodriguez as a quarterback on that defense, I think that actually benefits Texas Tech as far as taking advantage of an over-aggressive BYU team early. Their turnover battle is obviously one of the biggest things throughout the regular season, but that gets so much more magnified in these big games, and the scale and the scope of these matchups makes that turnover battle. And in my eyes, I think the most important thing in just about all these conference championship games, I think that this one maybe a little bit less so because of the big spread, but all these other games that are 4, 5, 2, 3 points in terms of the number, whoever wins the turnover battle and third down more often than not wins these tight games that are within a point or within a score, I should say, as far as the number is concerned.
I'm glad you said that about third downs because UNLV very good on the defensive side.
One of the best in the country.
With not giving up those third downs. Brian, do we want to go to Chris Andrews' top 10 before we wrap up this Big 12?
Yeah, Drew Dog, if you can go to the shared one with Alex's, the AP poll, and to Chris Andrews' power ranking. So Alex and Chris Andrews have their ratings based off of how they would value the number, and then the AP poll is somehow why we still use the rankings. But Chris, the bookmaker here at the South Point, Hall of Fame SBC bookmaker, doing this for a very, very long time. He's had Texas Tech in his top 10 the entire year. They are his 3rd highest power rated team in college football. And BYU is, I think, at 15. So the value's with Texas Tech. I really think that they take care of their business, prove that they're trying to earn a bye in this college football playoff. And I think they might prove so on Saturday.
Well, that's huge, too. I mean, the difference between having to play that extra game and not is massive. And when you've got the opportunity like this one to control your own destiny, I think that motivation factor goes in as well. And with what we saw preseason and this last year in recruiting from Texas Tech and just the amount of money that's being thrown around by a lot of the oil folks down there in Lubbock, this is not going to be the last time that we call Texas Tech name this deep in the season. I think that they're priming themselves to become one of the top consistent teams in all of college football, because as much as it sucks nowadays, money talks, and that's how you build a program from scratch. And for Texas Tech, not even quite starting from scratch, I think that they're going to be in this discussion as one of the top teams in the country for a handful of years at the very least.
Should be a good matchup regardless. I do think, BYU, since that loss, they have just won and covered 3 straight. I know against lesser opponents, but maybe they're a little more prepared. Maybe it's playing with house money. Well, that's not true. They have a lot on the line. They could make it into the college.
I think a
playoffs
lot of points one way or another in this game. I like over more than I like anything in this game for sure.
All right, we'll dive more into those as the week goes, as I mentioned, tomorrow with Chris Felica. But let's go to tonight's action. 3 ranked versus ranked on the hardwood, a couple other good college basketball games, and then we've got 10 hockey games. So let's start it off, Matt, with you with some college basketball that you like tonight.
Yeah, we got the ranked on ranked matchups. I got the only play that I got on the hardwood tonight is two of the Blue Bloods, not necessarily a ranked versus ranked, but 607, 608 on the rotation number. Tennessee at Syracuse in New York. This one at 4 o'clock here in the West Coast on ESPN2. And Tennessee right now at least opened as a 7-point favorite with the total at 146, and the total's been bet up about a half a point to 146.5, 147 at some shops. But I like under in this game. I think Syracuse showed that they can stick with some of the top teams. They lost all 3 of their games in the Players era last week here in Vegas, and I got a chance to watch them in 2 of them. And Kyan Anthony is legit. He is the real deal. Got a chance to see Carmelo and Lala go way back to my time in Denver. I remember seeing them rolling around the Mile High City in 2003 through 05 or so when he was hanging out a lot there. When he had first gotten drafted. But this Syracuse team struggled to score in all their games, but they took Houston to overtime. And I think that kind of let them know that they are able to athletically and aggressively enough stay with some of the big boys. And so with a total of 147 in Tennessee, known under Rick Barnes for their defensive prowess, I like under. And you made this one a lot higher than 146.5. But the things that kind of convinced me, Syracuse in those 3 games in Vegas didn't score over 67 points. And against a top 15 team like Tennessee, I think the points are going to be hard to come by. But both teams allowing just 65 points per game. These are 2 of the better defensive teams in the country, and they have not played all cupcakes. They've played some really tough games. I think Syracuse at home is going to keep this one close, and I think that lends itself to a low-scoring game of under 146.5.
Yeah, made it higher. Do not like it, though, not touching it there, because you're right. I do like both of these teams. Tennessee, though, on a crazy over trend here, 6-2. To the over this year. So maybe the books just know, like you said, Rick Barnes and that culture they have there, defensive first. Maybe they've just set the totals a little too low.
And the other thing that I saw that I pointed out to you pre-show that actually kind of scares me off of any Syracuse bet and would maybe kind of lend itself to a Tennessee bet in this game. Tennessee shooting 77% from the free throw line. That's 45th in the country. Not bad at all. Syracuse is the 3rd worst free throw shooting team in all of college basketball. 57%, 363rd in the country. There's 365 teams this year, 365 days. They are 363rd in the country. So that lends itself to an under, and that would lend itself to Tennessee pulling away late because they're the much, much better free throw shooting team. I could not believe that free throw total for Syracuse.
Definitely keeps me off of taking that 8.5 as well. How about the Florida and Duke matchup? This would have been the championship game, but I had the Houston Cougars, so I wasn't mad. Houston found a way to beat Duke, if you remember that one, and now they kind of get their shot here against the defending champions in the Gators, number 15 Florida, number 4 Duke. It's a big spread here, but I like Duke laying 8.5 to kind of prove that they should have been there, right, and gotten past the Final Four.
And this is an interesting matchup this early in the year. Love these big blue blood on blue blood rematches of last year's tournament. But here's a note. The Gators, who have played a lot of the top teams in the country, are 1-6 ATS. The Blue Devils 8-0 straight up, but 6-2 against the spread. So in terms of the number, Duke has been way better in terms of taking care of business. Now, some of those losses ATS for Florida were games where they were favored big but won small, and that's been kind of the way that they've won games this year, kind of grinding it out against some of the nation's top teams. But they're battle tested. I think they can keep it close, but that number just scares the hell out of me. 1-6 ATS in 7 games, whereas Duke is taking care of business against some other top opponents, 6-2 ATS in 8 games.
To add another number onto that, Duke right now 7-1 to the under. Oof. So Ryan usually keeps it the same way to not confuse people. So 1-7 right now. So a lot of unders for them, holding opponents to an average of 58.5 points per game. So I do like Duke in this one. Ryan, did any of these matchups on the hardwood jump out to you, college basketball or NBA?
Well, so the 2 that we've talked about so far are part of the ACC-SEC Challenge. And one that is also a ranked versus ranked matchup is number 16, the North Carolina Tar Heels, on the road in Kentucky, taking on the number 18 Kentucky Wildcats. The reason I point out that it's the ACC-SEC Challenge is that it's the 3rd year that they are doing this. 2023, the 14 games split 7-7. Last year, they added 2 more games, 16 total games. The ACC only won 2 of them. The SEC won outright in 14 of 16 of these ACC-SEC challenges. The SEC proving that they're not just football schools, that they are taking the basketball crown, really the sports crowns, away from the ACC. It is my Tar Heels in action against the Wildcats. They are getting 6 now here at the South Point. There are 6.5s and 5.5s available. They do have one of the I think should be one of the players of the year in Caleb Wilson, but I don't know if he'll be enough to lead them into Kentucky to get the win. I don't know if they'll exactly keep it close. So staying away on that 6, but going back to that Duke and Florida game, it would be a look to the Dukies being able to cover that one against the Gators.
So, wow, that's insane about the SEC winning straight up. Good for your Tennessee against Syracuse. Not so good, but I have to imagine
It'll
one,
balance out.
if not
teams.
2, were Duke last year.
I mean, it's also
Winning
not your grandfather's ACC anymore. The SEC has taken over, along with I would say SEC and Big 12 have taken over as the predominant basketball conferences from the national point of view, right?
Yeah. Then don't forget UConn's.
The Big East. I am a Big East. I think the Big East is some of the best basketball in the country.
I agree. I enjoy those games a lot.
You mentioned UConn. The number 5 team in the country is on the road at number 21 Kansas.
That's called a segue.
Today. And they are a road favorite here at the South Point. 2 is what the number is. 142.5 is the total. There are 2.5s available. There are also 1.5s available, but 2 is where we sit here at South Point. Alex, do you have a number on that one?
Let me check that one.
Well, this one's interesting because UConn's finally getting 100% healthy, and Kansas is still pretty banged up. So I think that's where a lot of that comes in. Otherwise, I think this one would be closer to a pick'em in Lawrence, right?
One
would assume.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it should be a pick'em, if not Kansas, just favored by 1 here. So, do you know how many guys are out in that one?
I mean, there's really only the one guy that matters, right?
Yeah.
Peterson. And I don't know. This one, I got no play on the spread itself, but despite the fact that this is a low total, it's actually being bet up. It opened at 140 and a half, and now it's a full 2 points higher than that. Under is 5-1 in Kansas's last 6, and UConn 4-1 of the under in their last 5. These are 2 teams that trend to the under, regardless of the number. And also, I love looking at tempo. 312th in the country is the tempo that UConn runs, and Kansas 239th in adjusted tempo per KenPom. So these are 2 teams that slow it down, and I don't think neither team is able to really pull away until late. I think a close game lends itself to an under. I could see this one finishing like 72-63. Like, I think that would not be that inconceivable. I think with these 2 teams that are pretty evenly matched, pretty big, and like to slow the game down, I lean under, generally speaking. Now, this one's kind of a tough pill to swallow with the number as low as it is, but it is being bet up. Maybe wait until the game starts and try to get closer to 145. I like under, generally speaking, though.
I think it's kind of moving all over, right? But you're right. I mean, there was some 144.5s. Now it's kind of going back down. So try and see where you can get the best number. But 138, I think, is the correct number. And you're right, both of these teams trending to the under. 2 and 5, so 5 unders for Kentucky and 2 and 6 for Kansas. 6 out of 8 of their games.
Kansas is also one of the best
under.
3-point defense teams in the country, so there's not going to be a knockdown, light up shooting performance from either side. I don't think in this one.
I'll go against the steam here. I'm going to go under.
There we go.
Try and get the best of the number though. So if you can get any higher than 142.5.
Yeah.
One final note on those ACC, SEC challenge games. We do have Florida State and Georgia in action tonight, and we did have JR in our chat letting us know that there is a trend active in that one. The total is sitting at 175 here at the South Point. It is the highest total in the market. And JR is letting us know that Florida State has 6 unders in a row. So best price, 175 here at the South Point, if you like the under there.
See, I knew I'd like JR for a lot of reasons, one of them being that we're both trend guys. So I got you, JR.
Pretty trendy there.
You know I love my trends.
So they're 1 and 6 on the year. So that means they must have started out the season with a nice over and then just been 6 straight unders.
Leonard Hamilton, slow him down. Or as Ryan's guy, Pat McAfee, slow him down. We're going to hammer down on the Seminoles.
Let's go to the ice and see if we've got any plays there. I've got 2 totals that I like. And then, of course, we do need to see what we came up with the poll. I see almost 20 people had voted in that poll question. So we'll see which road dog they like coming off an overtime loss here. So, Ryan, I'll just kick it off with my first one with Tampa Bay and the Islanders. There's a 6 out there currently here at the South Point. I don't know if any of them have moved up at any other shops, but I imagine it will because I like the over in this one. I think we're going to see some goals. Tampa Bay has been extremely well scoring this year. They are 8th, averaging 3.36 goals per game. The Islanders, not as good, 22nd right here, but I think they can give up some goals too. 11th, 2.85. Tampa's been good defensively, but they're going to keep the pace in this one. Last time I tried to go with the Tampa Bay under, though, they did have a shutout, so that scares me a little bit with Vasilevsky, but I'm going to go over. I think that we're getting a good number here at 6. Worst case scenario, maybe a little bit of a push. But Tampa playing really good, 8-2 in their last 10 games. So I'm going with that. They also have a streak going. They've won 7 in a row.
Ooh, they're hot. Does it surprise you that the number's not any bigger in that game?
What is it, 135?
I kind of assumed it'd be bigger. That's not even one of the bigger ones on the board tonight.
There are 145s in the market.
Wow.
Islanders are kind of sneaky, though. What? And them at home, so getting some home ice there.
Yeah.
But adding in that win streak, you're right, Matt. You could definitely make a case that it should be much bigger than that one.
And added note with your total, Alex, there are 5.5s available in the market with 130 to the over. So getting a chance to push here at the South Point, only having to lay -105 is the better bet. Getting a chance to push, laying a less of a juice. Granted, you push and not get a unit, win a unit, but pushing is not losing.
Better than the alternative, yeah. Pays to shop around.
Wow, going the opposite direction of me. I'm kind of surprised with that one. But from an over to an under, I'm going to take, and then Ryan, jump in with anything that you like on the board today. But the Dallas Stars, 17-5-4 now against the Rangers, 13-12-2. I like this under, even though we are going to should have a backup goalie in Casey DeSmith, but his numbers have been outstanding. He's 6-1-2 on the year, 2.07 goals against, and a .920 save percentage. On the other side, one of my favorite goalies and one of the best in the league, Shesterkin. So I really like this under 5.5. I made it closer to 5. So I know it's intimidating sometimes going over that, but remember, the Rangers struggling to score at home.
Yeah.
Right now, they're 28th on the year in goals per game, and they're 5th in goals against. So I know Dallas can score quick. They're 3rd right now in goals per game.
What do you think about that plus 210 price line, or on that price on the puck line then for Dallas? I think that they could have a shot to win this game by 3 or 4 goals.
I don't hate it by any means, especially with the Rangers' struggles. And now it's kind of hasn't evened out yet, but they are struggling home and road now. Ryan's shaking his head yes. Ryan, anything jumping out to you on the board for hockey?
Just the one, and it is here in Las Vegas, featuring my 2 favorite teams in the National Hockey League.
Which side you got?
Tempted to take the cheap tickets and get to that game, but getting 240 here at the South Point on the Blackhawks on the road, I don't think is putting enough respect on what that team has been able to do and the fight that they put up in games, and that 280 is too inflated on how the Knights are playing. With that in mind, though, it will be, as Nick put in the chat, Carter Hart's debut, Carter Hart's debut for the Vegas Golden Knights in net. So it could be a goalie boost. He has been out of hockey for a little bit. So it will be a very good game to watch. There are a lot of Chicago transplants here. There will be plenty of red in the building. If I do end up going, there's a good chance I'll be wearing a Hawks jersey.
A lot of storylines, a lot of distractions for VGK in this one. And as I've mentioned on this show plenty of times, if you're going to bet on the Golden Knights, do it somewhere else, because the lines are always inflated on the random jabronis that come into town and just want action on the game they're going to go to, or Vegas residents sitting on their couch on their mobile apps just hammering their favorite team. So if you like the opponent, Vegas is the place to do it. So I'm with you, Ryan. If you're going to take the Blackhawks, this is the opponent. This is the night to do it, especially with all the distractions going on and the storylines around Carter Hart.
Well, it's hard to really handicap, too, because he's gotten a few starts with the Silver Knights and hasn't really had a whole lot of shots on goal against him.
How do you compare AHL versus NHL?
Exactly.
It's like when you see a major leaguer get hurt and go down and play in AAA in a rehab, and he strikes out in his first 3 at-bats, but yeah, he hasn't seen live pitching in a month, and he's coming back from breaking his wrist 2 months ago. It's similar-ish, but it's like, how can you really factor in the AHL success or lack thereof in an NHL game? Yeah.
Were you talking about Max Muncy?
I'm talking about it. Whoever.
Remember when Max Muncy came down, I was talking about how he was struggling at the plate, and then he hit a grand slam.
Go figure, yeah.
So I was like, I think he's fine.
It's always interesting. Yeah, those are. I could do a whole show on minor league rehab assignments because there's some great stories.
I made this 230 for the Knights at home. I think that's even probably a little high. I'm with Ryan as well. I think the Blackhawks have been playing well, and I think they have the better goalie as of now in net. Spencer Knight has been outstanding, and we don't know what we're going to get from Carter Hart. So I do think that there is some value, and it's probably worth taking that plus 240, and maybe Ryan could pay for his hockey tickets to go to the game.
There you go.
If
think of it like that, Ryan. You're not buying tickets. You're buying the right to watch your ticket cash in person.
Yeah, I did that with the Bears the last couple of years, punishing myself, like as if I were to punish myself to go to that game. Besides the point.
He had such a bad time at the hockey game.
But with our viewers, we did want your guys' thoughts on some underdogs on the ice tonight. So regulation redemption, which plus money road team coming off of an overtime loss are you taking? The Wild getting plus 125 in Edmonton against the Oilers, the Flames getting even money in Nashville against the Predators, and the Canucks getting over 250, 255 here at the South Point. The Canucks are in Denver, though, taking on the Avalanche. And our viewers are going with the Wild in Edmonton.
I agree.
71% of them are taking that plus 125 with the Minnesota team.
I agree as well. The Minnesota Wild have won 4 straight road games, so we'll see if they can make it 5 here on the road in Edmonton. And the Oilers have really struggled as of late. So
Smart,
I like that
smart
one.
viewers.
I'm going to add it on here because they've been on a roll too. So give me the Wild.
This is the first time I've been on a show that Alex has added a play because of the poll. So this is a historic development here today.
Well, it did agree with mine too. And not to mention, Gustafsson will not be in net, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Jasper's been the better goalie of the two. So there we go.
I like it.
Well, Ryan, do you want to did we have a ticker trivia?
That we did.
Okay.
And it was a football question for you guys today. Ticker trivia presented by City Light Shine, available at Lee's Liquor, Total Wine, and here at the South Point Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. But Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Marino set at the time, record for most touchdown passes in a single season with 37 on this date, December 2nd, 1984, against the Raiders. Which player is the current NFL record holder for most touchdown passes in a single season?
I feel like I should know this one offhand. Is it Breeze or Manning?
Yeah. Which Manning?
Peyton.
There you go.
There you go. Not Eli. Come on.
Fellow Hall of Famer Peyton Manning is the current record holder for most touchdown passes in a single season. He set it with 55 in 2013 with those Denver Broncos. An active player note is Patrick Mahomes, threw 50 back in 2018. So he has demonstrated the potential to set the new record or to meet that record of 55. Mahomes matched Brady to currently share that second spot with 50 total touchdown passes in a single season.
Well, that record is only standing because Jameis Winston hasn't found a reliable home yet,
50-50 season?
50-50 is coming up. Don't you worry. He's going to throw 50 passes, half touchdowns for his team and half interceptions to the other team. But yeah, that is interesting. I think Mahomes, in all reality, is the only guy that could break it, but he's going to need some wide receiving help. I think he needs some help right now because he doesn't have the bodies, and Travis Kelce and that tight end position in general is not what it used to be for this team that now relies mostly on defense and finds themselves in a lot of these close games.
Who's leading right now this year? By the way, Drake May is the favorite now.
Darn tootin'.
To win the MVP.
Did it flip back? Because it was between him and Stafford for a while, and it's kind of like one of those things where the books will tell you who the favorite is. It's one of those ones where he has to go and usurp the guy ahead of him, kind of like we've seen with the Group of Five in the college football playoff. Like, they're telling you with the CFP who the highest rated Group of Five team is, and they have to really mess it up to drop. It's the same kind of principle for NFL MVP, and I think with Stafford dropping that game against the Panthers on the road last week, and I think Drake May last night, even though he finished just under 300 yards, as Lisa Salters reminded him of in that post-game interview. His answer was great to that, by the way, but I think that's a deserved favorite right now.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford, 32 on the year to just 4 INTs.
Has the league lead by 7 touchdowns. Prescott and Goff are tied with 25.
What's that, 4 games? 32,
well,
5 games, 18 touchdowns. It's doable. Ticket to 50. That'd be third all time. That's still crazy.
Yeah. Tied for second.
Yeah.
With the other two.
I have to make sure of this MVP note. I had pointed out a little bit ago.
Can I add Drake May to my whiteboard?
Drake May, is now the odds on minus 135. Matthew Stafford plus 125. Dak Prescott getting 14. Jordan Love 18. Josh Allen getting 30. And then I had made a point at 100 to 1. Well, we had done it for Lamar Jackson as well. But Caleb Williams at 100, I think he was actually 150 when we said it, is now down to 65. And if the Bears can win both games against the Packers, that will not be available either.
You should bet that. I won't, but you should.
I have the 100.
May and Stafford.
I have the Lamar Jackson 100 to 1. So maybe don't bet it because it's. I mean,
last
that's
4 games have
awesome.
been rough
It's
for
just
Lamar.
sitting in my account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
But
I like betting.
You're right. It won't be there.
Just for me, I like betting futures as tickets because I hate open bets in my account for whatever reason.
Yes.
Like week to week, I absolutely abhor having open bets in my account. So I like the ones that I can get out of the way early. 99% of the time, if I'm betting futures, it's on a paper ticket at the book.
And 99% of the time, it's here too because
It
you
is
get the best numbers.
It is.
So here at the South Point or the Rampart, you
legitimately,
go see,
I did all my win total bets. Yeah.
Dwayne Colucci.
I saw Colucci the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Very good. We'll see him on Thursday.
Yes, we will.
He's the man.
Sports
My
by the
dad,
Book.
who loves Rampart, went and had lunch with him too. So he can go play his video poker there now exclusively.
Very good. All right, let's go to our place.
I'm ready. I've been ready. I was a little premature on the whiteboard.
All right, go ahead, Matt. Start us off.
The Matt board didn't have the same ring to it. My only play on the hardwood tonight is mentioned Tennessee Syracuse under. Good luck reading my writing. I'll read them off to you. Under 146.5 in Syracuse, Tennessee. I think we've seen great defense from both of these teams. Tennessee, as expected. Syracuse, kind of unexpectedly, keeping a lot of the games close against some of the nation's top teams. They're coming off of 3 games in Vegas from the Players era against some of the top teams in the country, so they are battle-tested and one of the worst free-throw shooting teams in the country. I like under in that game. Ravens -6.5. There's all the Tomlin storylines, and Tomlin as a dog is usually a great bet, but not in this one. I think you're going to love this one, Alex, because Lamar Jackson, despite 1 touchdown pass over his last 4 games, I think is going to have his way with the Steelers' defense. Aaron Rodgers should not be playing in this game, but he's going to give it a shot with the left wrist. And then my teaser that I was teasing the whole show, I like the Bears, I like the Cardinals, and I like the Texans. Right now you're getting 8.5, 14, and 9.5. I think if anyone burns you on that one, it's going to be the Bears. Sorry, Ryan, but I think that all 3 of those dogs getting teased up even higher, especially if you can get the Cardinals at 2 touchdowns, are going to be, I think, a good one on the 6-point tease. And I think the Texans probably have a good chance to win that game outright against the Chiefs in KC.
I think that's pretty good. I like the under in that game, so I think 13.5 is a lot of points. I would be kind of surprised to see Chicago burn you on that. The Packers aren't really blowing anyone out.
I don't think so either. I'm just giving Ryan
Might be
hard
the
time.
Cardinals because that's a tough team. We've seen them beat, in the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, hey, two touchdowns is a lot to beat a team by in the NFL, and the Rams have allowed 57 points in their last 2 road games combined. So there is a little bit of a crack in the armor for the Super Bowl favorite as of right now.
Yes, their defense is very, very young too. So, Ryan, do you want to go next, or you want me to go?
You can go.
All right. Mine's up, so I guess he's right. I'm going with 2 on the hardwood here with Duke laying the 8.5 at home. I think that's going to be a great game, but I do think that they will ultimately cover and beat the champions in the Gators. I'm going with UConn and Kansas under 142.5. I rewrote 143. I took a picture. I rewrote it. 143 is the best number out there. I'm going with over in Tampa Bay and the Islanders, over 6. I'm going under in the Stars and the Rangers. I'm taking a little bit on the Wild at +125, courtesy of the poll. I do think that they can beat the Edmonton Oilers here tonight. That's it. I have no future bets yet for the week. We'll go through those as the week goes. But
I only get Tuesdays to come on and give it.
I know. We appreciate it.
We're on with the
really
Ravens, and we're on that tease. I've had good luck with the dog teasers so far this year.
Yes, yeah.
I haven't done as many total teases this year as I typically do. I actually really like mixing them. I don't like mixing sides and totals together in a tease. I really like one or the other, and I haven't been as keyed in on a lot of the totals this year as I normally would be, except for the primetime games. That's the only exception, but that's an easy one for me. Plug and play on the unders and the field goal overs.
Thursday, Sunday night, Monday, you're just teasing all of them.
Going to Atomic Golf and watching it with the buffet there, and just rooting for defense. That's what everybody loves when you're at the party, right? Yeah, fumble, another punt.
Might get it.
I think so.
For mine, I will be taking a look-ahead line going to Thursday, taking the Cowboys plus the 3.5. It is only available here at the South Point. That hook, it is 3 in the market, so best price available here at the South Point. And then I will be taking a shot with the Blackhawks tonight to win on the road, getting plus 240 against the Vegas Golden Knights on the ice.
Awesome. And that's it for us. Any more check-ins with the chat? It seems like they've been pretty active over there, maybe going through their own bets.
Yeah,
and the big games.
It was a great chat today. Attila, Dean Hill, Jern, Nick, JR. I think Christopher just chimed in with his patented "Go Duke," which
your favorite.
I'm allowing it, leaving them off of my play today. So hopefully, your Dukies get it done against the Gators.
I'm glad you're allowing it, Ryan. That's progress.
We want Virginia this weekend, though.
We need Virginia this weekend.
We need Virginia. So no Duke in that one. But tonight on the hardwood.
Well, unless you want UNLV to make it.
I'd like UNLV to make it.
Yes.
Means I get to go somewhere cool.
We all would. But I mean, it might not be UNLV. It's going to be, it'd probably be James Madison.
A lot of
so
chaos.
Then what?
Happen, yeah.
Hey, Troy, 22-point dog. I need you from one Sun Belter to another. Come on, baby.
There's also a comment. Dean said Rams Patriots Super Bowl.
I like it. That worked out the last time. One of the most boring Super Bowls ever, but a win is a win.
Yes, it did.
I'll
they
take
did
it.
not score a touchdown in that one, but different quarterback for the Rams. So
and the Patriots.
I actually like the Seahawks.
I like that as well.
We need to
I
get
think the
past the
Seahawks are
Rams.
going to be a scary team come playoff time.
One other thing I did want to mention in hockey was that with how big the Avalanche are as favorites against the Canucks here tonight, if you wanted to lay the 2.5 goals with the Avalanche, you're only getting plus 140.
Oh.
So, yeah, that one's not a fun betting game there with the Canucks and Avalanche.
I just can't get over the Avs, though. I mean, we should be betting them one way or another every single night until
you just fade until the line gets too big and you get burned.
It is. I mean, I think we're gonna have to go team total over one regulation loss. Matt, they're 18-1-6.
They're a wagon.
Yes, they are. So, looking at Avs team total over, we got to start keeping track of that, seeing how it does. But yeah, so don't be careful with those 2.5s.
Yeah, be careful, kids.
Yeah. That's it for us. Fun show as always. If you are just joining us, we do appreciate you, but you got to go back. We did a deep dive into 3 NFL games coming up this weekend, including the Thursday night game. We looked into the Big 12, went through mine and Chris Andrews' top 10 for college football, and then, of course, some plays that we like tonight. For Matt Neverett, thank you so much. Enjoy the Mountain West
Back
Conference.
to Boise.
Yeah, it's Friday night.
Yep.
So
snow in the forecast in Idaho.
that is not what us Rebels fans here want to hear.
Can't wait.
We want them to have a shot at this.
But then I get to go to Stanford for hoops later in the weekend, so it'll be beautiful weather in Palo Alto.
Can't complain about that. Brian, any final thoughts for you?
I would say go Gators to go against Duke, but I do think they'll get it done tonight.
All right, we'll see. We got to get some winners on all of our whiteboards, all 3 of us. Hopefully everybody in the chat as well. Hopefully you guys gave each other some winners. JR, we appreciate all of your trends. We appreciate everybody jumping in with the poll, answering the trivia question. For the crew, thank you, Drew Dog, for my video to kick off the show. Thank you, Ann, Jerry, Sean, and everybody else. For Matt and Ryan, I'm Alex White. This is Sports by the Book. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. with Chris Felica. Don't forget, so bookmark it right now. The Bear joining us tomorrow on Sports by the Book.